different here. There is going to be a lot of travel on my end for 2025, so I'm trying a little bit more of a mobile setup. Hate this mic in my face, but it will work. We have good audio quality. Let me know. Does the sound look? Does the sound look good? Does the sound good? Do I look good? Coming at you live from Bali, Indonesia. So we're going to take a look at the charts. I'm bullish. Surprise, surprise. We're still in the range. There's no reason to be overly bullish. There's no reason to be overly bearish. But, macro speaking, we're in an uptrend. The fundamentals of Bitcoin have never been stronger. Nation states and smart money keep buying and buying and buying. And we're going to break out. We're going to get into the details right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the king of all crypto. And that is Bitcoin. Currently, we are in a trade. MRI has been in a trade. Hasn't been the quickest result, but I'm currently $23,000 long on Bitcoin here on BitGet. If you guys don't already have a BitGet account, go ahead and join and sign up for Blackbox. We have free Bitcoin trading bots for you to use. All you got to do is create a BitGet account, and then you can get full access to the Discord, full access to the signals, and full access to all of our bots. So more information on the webpage. Go and check that out. Also links down below. So let's see what we got over here. We're still below the green wave here on alphanumetrics. We don't need to look at RSI just yet, but this is an Adam and Eve pattern that is setting up. So I'm sure a lot of people remember what this event was like, this cascade to the downside. Man, was that a bearish event. The sentiment couldn't have been lower. We were seeing incredibly low sentiment on that. Then we got a huge, quick recovery. So this is kind of your Adam. And then you have this rounding bottom here, and that's your Eve. So you've got your Adam and Eve pattern playing out here on the 4-minute time frame. Let me just check and see if I'm live. This is the first time using this setup, so I just want to make sure we're good. Yes, we are good. We got 2 live viewers currently on YouTube. Hit the likes, ladies and gentlemen. It does help out the algo, helps people discover this channel. But so Adam and Eve pattern, it's a double bottom pattern. You've got a sharp V-shaped recovery bottom, and then this slow moving rounding bottom that I think will continue. I think we're going to, just lightly tread to the upside until we reach some sort of area where price acceleration will take place. Probably getting above the 200 would be an acceleration point for the market. So currently, the 200's at that psychological level of $100,000. If we can get above $100,000, the market will probably think that that's a very bullish sign, and we could see price accelerate. But this is the smaller time frames. If we actually go on to the daily, we can see that it's all part of another double bottom. We had this peak, come down, rounded bottom. Peak, come down, rounded bottom again. This is a low. This is a higher low. And when we go ahead and turn on the RSI, we can see that we have a low and a equal low, indicating bullish divergence as well. Taking a look at the volume, nothing particularly noteworthy in the volume. We haven't seen the high volume event since this candle came in back in at the beginning of the month, the 3rd of February. So nothing too noteworthy on volume, but I like the structure. Anytime you have price coming down and making these rounded bottoms, W's are bullish, M's are bearish. I know that that's a very simplistic approach to the market. I do try to keep things simple here on the channel. TA is not meant to be complicated. So when you're looking at structure of candles, you see it all the time. A cup and handle is a form of a double bottom, which is a form of it forms a W. A double top is an M, right? So, there's a lot of things that you can point to kind of show that structure. So if you're seeing price rally and fold over, and then rally and fold over again, this is bearish. And what is it making? It's making an M. However, if you're seeing, a rally and then a retest, that's bullish. That's bullish. I know it doesn't feel bullish, but nobody said trading was easy. Nobody said trading was easy. So, you got to get over that stuff. You got to get over the fact that you got to submit to the fact that you don't actually know what the next candle is going to be. And what you simply need to do is just interpret the data that goes with the trend. Always have a bias with the trend. The trend is your friend until it ends. The trend is up. So, put your thoughts aside. Don't front run bearish ideas. They don't do you any favors. If you're going to have an idea that is counter to the trend, you're probably going to find yourself on the wrong side of the trade more often than not. Mauricio Lopez, hi, bro. Good to see you. Good to see you too. We didn't have a 5-minute run-in to the video today because I'm doing restream. Maybe I will add a 5-minute run-in, but yeah, just trying something different. Want a little bit more of a mobile setup. So good to see you in the chat. Let me know who else is live here. Who else is live and on the chat? We got 8 people in YouTube. How many people do we got on? Lost my screen share. How do I get that back? Where is my screen share? Animosity watching on Twitch. Right on. Where did my screen share go? There we go. That's not what we want. We want this. Did I lose it for everything? No, we're good. We're good. All right, cool. Cool. All right. What else can we see? Let's go over to the 3-day chart. So we did get a bearish cross here on the 3-day alpha numerics. Now, 3-day alpha numerics, you don't want a bearish cross. That's not the most bullish thing that could have happened. It's happened in the past, like back here. We got 3 bearish crosses, 3 bearish crosses and 3 bullish crosses. So hopefully it's not indicating to us that we are going to have a really extended chop consolidation like this one. This was a 7-month. How long was that? That was a 237-day chop consolidation. I don't think it's going to be that, but the momentum as it stands right now, we have an indicator showing us that momentum is slowing down. So not ideal, but what is nice to see is, the higher you go on the time frames, the more prominent the bullish divergence presents. So if you remember here on the daily, we had a low and then a higher low. And here on the RSI, we had a low and an equal low. When we go to the 3-day, we can see that we have a low, a higher low, a low, a lower low. So it's even more defined. And if we take a look at that same thing here on the weekly, we have a low and a higher low and a low and a lower low. So it's even more defined on the weekly. Looking good. So we'll have to see. The market certainly is still quite scared. The common sentiment out there is that the bull market's over and that, we'll be lucky to get to 150K. Or 130K, the number keeps coming down. I maintain the stance that we're going to be anywhere from over 200,000 to 1.2 million, quite the range, but that's it. That's what I'm thinking. But it's not over yet. The fundamentals are incredibly strong. Alan, don't we need a deeper spring? We don't need anything. Price is going to do what it's going to do. There is no such thing as needing a deeper spring. This was a spring. We had a spring here, we had a spring here, and this spring was lower than this spring. So we have the bulls are showing up. The bulls are showing up at the bottom end of the range, and where they show up in that range is at higher and higher prices. So the bulls are there. The bulls are there. We can see the uptrend They keep showing up until we have a break of structure to the downside. We're going to keep climbing. Now, if we do get a washout, I would expect the washout to be very frightening. I'm not trying to scare anybody. That's not the intention at all. I'm still very bullish. But should we take a larger correction, or should we actually break out of this structure, better said, I anticipate us to come down to at least a retest of the 200 here on the daily, which would be at $79,000, with more structural support holding us up at around $70,000. So my line in the sand as it stands right now is this this dotted line at the bottom here. This is the Alphanumerics modified lucid SAR that we custom built for our indicator, and that currently sits at $90,000. So a breach of 90,000, in my opinion, would be where I become bearish. It's not to say, you're saying like 89, then blast back. That is a possibility, but I won't be taking that trade. If we do break 90, me personally, I'll be selling out some of the positions and waiting for a flip, waiting for a rotation, waiting for a change of character to the upside before I become a participant again. So that's the reality. That's the plan. That's how I'm going to be trading things. The important thing to realize about trading is it's more about what are you going to do based off of what you think is going to happen. Nobody has a crystal ball. We don't need to do this. We don't need to do that. Price shouldn't respect this. Price shouldn't respect, that. It's just a series of if-then statements. So for me, my trading style might be different from yours. You're sounding like, we get to 89, then we blast back. So you would be a buyer at 89. For me, a breach of 90 is something that I'm looking for that I would consider bearish, and a breach of 90 would cause me to actually sell out some of the position. So, teach their own. Nobody has a crystal ball. So, we all just follow our own strategies. And part of the strategy that we employ is a healthy respect for this dotted line. It doesn't work every time. See, the last time it didn't work for us. This flipped from green to red back here. But every other time that it's flipped from green to red, it's saved our ass. So basically, this indicator that we use works consistently. It's kept us out of trouble. It's kept us out of every single bear market. It's something that we use and we really respect. It's not right all the time, but it's right enough, and it saves us from enough bear market pain that we absolutely listen to it. So if we breach that level, I can no longer be bullish. I can no longer be bullish until we can get back above that. So that's just the clean way of approaching things in this market. Let's take a look at the DXY. DXY is coming down. Now, it's do or die time here for the dollar. Are they going to continue to devalue? This is kind of a pretty picture perfect Wyckoff trading range, but the do or die here is this level going to hold? If we hold this level and bounce, that's probably going to indicate to the market that it's time for a correction globally. However, if we come down and break below this level and begin to trend down, well, then this could end up being the beginning of a larger trend that would devalue the dollar, making inflation worse and making asset prices higher. So we'll have to pay attention to the DXY in the short to medium term to see how this level right here holds. If it holds well, great. If it doesn't and begins to rally off, then a lot of assets will become risk off at that point. Happy Friday night. Happy Saturday morning to you all. Thank you very much. Gary Garrettson, happy Friday to you as well. S&P just had its highest price ever. So from a health perspective in traditional finance, we're looking just peachy. We're looking fantastic, right? We have had the highest price that the S&P has ever breached. The NASDAQ is not far behind. I don't think we quite got above that highest price here on the NASDAQ. The high was 22,133. This was 22,139. Yeah, so we have a new all-time high here on the Nasdaq as well. So risk is coming back into the market, and that's further reflected with what we saw in the DXY. So if the DXY can continue to trend downwards, that's going to validate the breakout here in traditional. That's going to bring risk on assets back into the forefront. That's going to add a lot of speculation to the market, and that speculation is just going to naturally trickle down into crypto. Then it'll go into altcoins as well. So speaking of altcoins, let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance, still watching this chart on the weekly. I'm not ready to go down to smaller time frames. Staying on the weekly and watching this print higher and higher candles has done wonders for my portfolio. Anybody who has been heavily weighted in Bitcoin has absolutely, with the exception of some, unique edge cases, if you've been heavily weighted to Bitcoin, you have outperformed pretty much every altcoin trader out there. Obviously, there's going to be, special cases with, some odd coin that did incredibly well, and the user of that, the trader of that coin managed the position appropriately. But if you were just simply spot Bitcoin, heavily weighted portfolio to Bitcoin, you've probably outperformed most, if not the high majority, 99.9% of operators in this space. You have outperformed. Now, what I'm waiting for this rotation, I want to at least get below the 7, and I believe that full-blown altcoin season will begin at a break below 56% dominance. The 7 weekly moving average is currently sitting at 59.37. That number is going to go up every week, so maybe it'll get up to 60, and those levels become easier and easier to achieve. But yeah, I'm not rotating into altcoins yet. And I want to express, people are very trigger happy. They want, no matter what, they just want to be in altcoins. I'm going to rant for a little bit here. They just have to be in altcoins because being in anything else is a waste of your time. If you've learned anything from this cycle, you've learned that being in Bitcoin and just waiting has not been a waste of your time. Bitcoin is up, from the market cycle lows. Let's just gather some perspective here. From the market cycle lows, Bitcoin is up, over 500%. Over 500%. Now, obviously, altcoins have done more than that, but the thing with altcoins is you're never all in on a specific altcoin. I'm all in on Bitcoin. My entire net worth is up 500%. Your altcoin portfolio is very diversified. Statistically speaking, it's very diversified. So you might have a couple bangers that did, a 20x or something like that, but most of the portfolio is down 95%. So the losses are definitely tearing down the gains of the winners. Whereas a heavy weighted Bitcoin position allows you to not diversify, and your whole portfolio is up 5x. It's to your best interest to wait. Why cut a winner short, right? I am more than happy to continue to wait for Bitcoin dominance to truly rotate. Because when we really start trending down here, it won't matter. It won't matter that I waited, because Bitcoin will be at a higher price, and I don't need to buy the bottom of an altcoin. I just don't. I have no interest. My exposure to altcoins, I want to remain minimal. So I want to catch the middle of an altcoin season, just the middle. This is the area of the altcoin season. If the altcoin season begins here and ends here, this is what I'm interested in catching. Just the meat in the middle. That's it. I'll be late to the entries and I'll be early to the exits. And I will guarantee you, I will vastly outperform most people when it comes to altcoin trading. I will vastly outperform them. Not to like toot my own horn, but this is not my first rodeo. And the fastest moves happen right there, which I've marked. It happens after the rotation is in full effect, and it happens before things start topping out. And this is how the whales think. This is how whales trade this market as well. I want to be alongside the whales. I want to be a remora latching on to the whales and moving along with them. What they do, I do. So, start to think like that. Start to think like that, because being in Bitcoin has not been a bad thing. It's been a good thing. Honor that, respect that. It's been a good thing. So you can be late to the party. You're already exposed to crypto. You're in Bitcoin. You can be late. People think the boat has sailed on Bitcoin, so they want to gamble in shitcoins. The long game in Bitcoin has been my play, and it's proven the winning play. Yeah, it's time and time again. It is the winning play every cycle. So I'm not saying don't buy shitcoins. I mean, I'm talking about shitcoins. I'm going to buy them. But I'm very calculated, and my goal is more Bitcoin. And if I don't think that I'm going to get more Bitcoin, if I don't know I'm going to get more Bitcoin, then I'm just not even going to bother. Why not Trump coin? Because it's a rug. Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms, isn't it? Let's take a look at Trump coin. How's that doing? How's that pile of shit doing? Yeah, it's got a little pump there. Got a little pump on Trump coin. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, guys. The other thing too is, and this is a little nerdy, but I don't like liquidity pools. I think liquidity pools are a scam, and I can get very technical on the reasons as to why I believe that liquidity pools are a scam. But I'm quite excited to see more decentralized options come up out there using the traditional order book model. You're going to see liquidity pools go away one day. Liquidity pools are a band-aid solution to a hard to execute order book solution. Order books are not easy. You need a ton of liquidity to have an effective order book. A liquidity pool is easy. It's a band-aid. It was a fix. It was something invented in 2017, 2018. And its original purpose was to ARB stabilize stablecoins. And then people realized that they can launch shitcoins on them. But their original purpose was to have an algorithmic buffer to maintain a peg of a stablecoin. They were never intended to be used for altcoins. And now it's just so common to have rug pulls. Long story short, I have altcoin positions that I'm looking to get into, but all of the positions that I would be looking to get into are corrected and arbed with order book liquidity. There are also some shit coins, ordinals, runes. Those use order books. The ordinals and runes ecosystem does not use liquidity pools. Liquidity pools are having a heyday. Anybody who is a creator who, understands how these liquidities are so predatory, these liquidity pools are so predatory, they're in there. They're in there. The snakes are there, they're in the pits, and they love them some Solana, because the Solana ecosystem is just so built for scamming people. It's way better than Ethereum was for scamming people. Ethereum actually tried to make something honest. They made a shitcoin casino, but they tried to make something honest. Solana is not trying to do anything honest. Solana is the shitcoin casino. So you won't catch me buying anything that you can only get from a decentralized exchange that is only available to trade on a liquidity pool. Not doing that. The risk is too high. All right, what else can we take a look at? So I think we talked enough about Bitcoin dominance. Let's see what's moving today. Doge, XRP. Let's see here. Doge still Uh-oh. Am I still here? Please confirm that I am still live, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Just getting notifications on Restream that I had a down connection. So just confirm that. So yeah, we'll take a look at Solana. The Echelon show, hey buddy, can you do a short-term analysis on Solana? Yeah, we'll take a look at Solana. Gary Garrettson, any of those liquidity pool tokens and proof of stake tokens are printed out of thin air. Bitcoin is a subsidy for real life, electricity. People need to understand what sets Bitcoin apart from these. Totally agree, Gary. One of the biggest things that a lot of people have forgotten or just haven't educated themselves enough to really care about is the fact that Bitcoin is proof of work. People really underestimate what that means, and they think that it's a waste of electricity. Proof of work is basically the most ingenious thing that's ever happened in the world since the printing press. Proof of work is what makes Bitcoin valuable. And on the surface, to somebody who doesn't quite get it, yes, I understand how it can look really, really inefficient. But when you think about it in terms of physics, and when you think about it in terms of how are we backing a currency, so traditionally around the world, gold has been a currency, right? And gold is hard to get. Gold is hard to get. It is very hard to destroy. It doesn't tarnish. It's got a lot of longevity properties, so you can pass gold down multiple generations. But it's not very portable and it's not very divisible. The properties of gold is what allowed banknotes to have value. So the banknotes, very divisible, very easy to, very portable. Paper money was an inevitability because we based value off of the backing of gold. Now, Bitcoin needs a backing as well. Any currency needs a backing. There needs to be a value. There needs to be some effort that was applied that made it difficult to produce. There has to be work backing up to it, because if something doesn't require any work to make, it's not worth anything. Proof of work, the fact that it costs tens of thousands of dollars in electricity cost, is basically backing Bitcoin with electricity. Instead of this currency being backed by gold, it's backed by electricity. The energy from the river as it flows, the energy of the water as it flows down the river, that energy is captured by a turbine. That turbine then powers a computer. That computer then hashes on the network and creates a currency. So Bitcoin is energy denominated currency. Proof of stake is a scam. Proof of stake will never, ever outperform Bitcoin, because proof of stake is built on the wealth get wealthier. No effort, buy my shitcoin. So really big distinction that a lot of people need to understand. Proof of work is one of the most important things about Bitcoin. All right, let's get back onto the shitcoins. Doge, by the way, is proof of work. Now, this is a whole other can of worms. Doge is proof of work. I'm not going to get into the weeds as to why I think Doge, why I still believe that Doge is not as valuable as Bitcoin. You can draw your own conclusions on that. But, you look at node infrastructure, you look at the amount of electricity going into mining a Doge coin, you can draw your own conclusions. But Doge, we need to get above this downward sloping line of resistance. I'm always referencing the Bitcoin chart. I'm not looking at the dollar chart. So if my chart looks weird to you, it's because I look at the Bitcoin chart. If it's not doing better than Bitcoin, then I don't care. I don't care about it. Everything that I'm trying to do is multiply my Bitcoin. So if I'm going to take a trade, it has to be outperforming Bitcoin first. Don't reference the dollar pair, reference the Bitcoin pair. But the Bitcoin and dollar pair actually look quite similar. So Doge, BTC, yeah, they're pretty much the same chart. And we have this downward sloping line of resistance. So as soon as we get above that, it will probably accelerate. But as long as it remains below that, there's no trade available. There's no trade available. You're live. You are dude. Nice. Thank you. Still live, I think. Cool. All right. Yeah, looking good. All right, cool. Yeah, just lost connection there for a bit. Solana. Somebody wanted a short-term price analysis on Solana. Let's take a look at Solana. So full disclosure, Solana is one of the ones that I am looking at. Solana is one that has me most interested for the cycle play. So once we have that rotation in Bitcoin, once we have Bitcoin dominance beginning to decline, once we have the kicking off of altcoin season, Solana is going to be the play, because with that rotation into altcoins, what's going to happen? Everybody's going to get into meme coins. Everybody's going to be going on pump.fun. Everybody's going to be doing everything that they've done thus far. And most of that activity has been on Solana. So as a result of the dominant force of the dominant amount of activity occurring on Solana, when new participants come in, what do they need to do? You know, go buy Trump coin, go buy stupid, you know, I don't even know. Like, you can come up with it and go buy pillow coin, go buy dog shit coin. You know, when they tell their friends and family to buy these asinine products, what's the first thing that they have to do before they can do that? They got to buy Solana. They got to buy Solana. And because they want it now, what do they need to do? They have to press market buy Solana on the order book. That is a key. That is a key in. Oh, we lost my camera. Lost my camera, man. All right, we're gonna hold on. Let's see if I can make this work. No, I can't make it work. Okay, I think we'll just lose the camera time and time again. I don't think I have enough battery in it, so my bad. Yeah, no battery. No worries. We just won't work with the camera. So we'll go without the camera. Yeah, so the very first thing that they need to do is market buy Solana. The important thing to note is market buying on an order book causes price to go up very aggressively. Very aggressively. If everybody is just going to the centralized exchange and everybody is just smashing market buy on the centralized exchange, Solana is going to absolutely rip. So when that takes place, the gambling and the degeneracy that will take place as a result of the bull market and altcoin season taking shape, I mean, this is just going to blast off. So as soon as we can get above this downward sloping line of resistance, that's going to be kind of the first entry point. Once we get above this channel, that'll be the second entry point. And I actually think Solana is going to be one of the very few altcoins that makes a new high prior to its original high in Bitcoin terms. This is a very rare occurrence, very rare. But even if it doesn't, I still think it has the ability to at least break out from this level and rally up 60%. And I am not going to shake a stick at a 60% increase in a Bitcoin position. So definitely watching out for the Solana play, but not front running anything just yet. All right, what else can we take a look at here? XRP, the coin that I loathe, absolutely loathe this coin, but we'll look at it because I'm an empathetic person that understands that there are many misguided souls that don't understand much about blockchain technology that have exposure to this and want to know what I think the price will do. So we will discuss it. This is, yeah, I don't know. So XRP has this annoying habit. You know what? It's much better demonstrated on the Bitcoin pair. So let's go XRP Bitcoin. It has this annoying habit of just mooning, like really volatile. The Ripple Labs gets super rich and then dumps on the retail investor. So when it moves very quickly. So here was the last cycle in 2017. It had a big move up, huge correction, massive move up again, and then corrected all the way back down to actually a new low on the Bitcoin pair. Then it did the whole thing over again. Like, the ability for retail to actually get into this is basically impossible. Um, you need to be just, again, this is smash buying market orders. So they're, smashing market order buys is how you get this type of price action. So there will probably be some catalyst that causes that to go. And I expect some acceleration to take place once we get above this. Um, but it will be short lived, like every other time. And it'll go up and it'll be very, very exciting. And then it'll come down and it'll be less exciting. And then it'll grind down right back to where it belongs, which is fucking zero. So if you are in this, you got to be pretty ready to sell, in my opinion, just based off of historical performance and historical behavior of how this asset moves. You don't have a lot of time to decide. And moving averages aren't going to be your friend. Like, for example, when we take a look at Bitcoin, let's go to the weekly here. When we're looking to make an exit on Bitcoin, we wait for moving averages to be, breached. We wait for the green wave to turn into a red wave. And you just do not get this opportunity when you're looking at stuff like XRP. If we turn the alpha numerics indicator on, sorry, got to get rid of that. You're just not afforded that opportunity. Look at this. Look at this. Here, I mean, it just barely, you got, as soon as it turned red, you had already lost. Let's see here. When it turned red, you lost 63% of the position. When Bitcoin turned red, you lost 20% of the position, max. 20% of the position. So you just got to be really ready to sell. Same thing over here when we went from, here's even worse. So this one, we lost, 70% before you got the signal. So that's the downside of quick moving assets. When they move too quick, it's hard for you to make decisions. And those decisions are based off of feelings more than technicals. I'm a technical analyst. I make technical decisions. So when things move too fast, you're just shooting blind. So it's really difficult to determine value. It's really difficult to determine when is it topping. It's not difficult to determine when it's topped, but you lost 60% paying for confirmation on that. Wow, so many haters of XRP. Keep that same energy when it takes off from the manipulation. Listen, I've been in the space for a very long time. I have a good fundamental understanding of blockchain technology, and the mere fact that, there are so many things that you can point to that would say that XRP is just not Bitcoin. It's just not Bitcoin. The fact that the first 30,000 blocks are gone. They just deleted the first 30,000 blocks of history. So there's hidden history. That's not a transparent ledger. The fact that 80% of the supply was mined and held by Ripple Labs. It was also created out of thin air. That is a fundamental difference between Bitcoin and Ripple. The fact that it's a proof of stake network. It's not a mining algorithm. There's no backing to it, whereas Bitcoin is backed by energy. And the fact that all of the claims that they say that they are going to do, cross-border remittance, blah, 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 international payments, international bank settlements, all of that hasn't really happened. And it is happening with Bitcoin. We have several Bitcoin international remittance apps that are live, that are working, that people use. Strike, Neutron Pay. There's functional apps out there that are being adopted by the world. And now with this latest announcement from Tether creating Tether assets on Bitcoin with the Lightning Network, now you have international bank remittances happening on Bitcoin as well using the Lightning Network. So in my opinion, it's game over for Ripple. That doesn't mean that Ripple isn't going to go up in price. I do think that there's still a lot of misunderstanding out in the world, and there's a lot of people that just don't understand the basics and the fundamentals of what makes this stuff special. And it'll take a long time for the market to realize that. So, in the meantime, number will go up. I think number will go up. I think that Ripple will have a very beautiful bull market, but it'll be short lived and it'll go down to zero like it always does, which is how it should be valued. It is valued at zero. It's not worth anything. Anyways, I digress. You can hate me. I've been a long-term Ripple bear, but it just comes from a firm understanding of Bitcoin proof of work and, the long history of cryptography and where we were and where we got to today. XRP was, you can call manipulation, the biggest manipulator of XRP is Ripple Labs. Lightning Network for the win once again. Yep. The company Ripple has never bought any tokens. They've only sold. Yep. These moves take time for the banks and XRP, not Ripple. They're just partners. Yeah, they've just made that distinction for legal terms, but Bitcoin doesn't need legal clarity. Bitcoin is a protocol, just like email. Ripple is not. I'll also ask you, do you run a Ripple node? Because if the answer to that is no, then you don't know much about what makes this stuff special, in my opinion. Bitcoin is free and instant. So open up Twitter and learn about Lightning. And I'm so sick of people saying that Bitcoin is not Lightning. Lightning is not Bitcoin. It is. It runs on the exact same node infrastructure. If you run a Bitcoin node, you run a Lightning node. It's the exact same shit. So Bitcoin is Lightning. Lightning is Bitcoin. You can't make more than 21 million coins. The coins are created through electricity generation. It is. So stop eating the narratives because you're only going to do yourself a disservice. If you take the Ripple trade, don't get me wrong, take the Ripple trade. Just know it's a Ripple trade. It is an XRP trade. It is not an investment. It is a scam. It is preying upon people that don't understand blockchain. Speaking of preying upon people that don't understand blockchain, let's take a look at Cardano. So Cardano, still in this downward sloping line of resistance here. We need to get back on top of the mean. Once we get back on top of the mean, we can begin to attempt to break out here past these the previous resistance high here. And once it does that, that'll be the acceleration phase. So, altcoin season is gearing up. It is gearing up, but too many people are paying attention to the dollar pair. They're not paying attention to the Bitcoin pair, and the Bitcoin pair is where stuff's setting up. This is a super clean setup. I love this. This is a really clean setup. But it's only on the Bitcoin pair, and it's not until we get above 1,500 sats per ADA that I will be interested in being a buyer. And when I say I would be interested in being a buyer, that I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to go with Solana. I've already made that pretty clear. But if you are a Cardano bull, that's the point at which you're going to see price acceleration. Bitcoin itself does nothing. That's why they have created the offspring. Okay. Money's a pretty big deal. I don't know if you've noticed. People like money. And with no apps, it takes an average of 20 minutes for BTC transactions. It takes 20 minutes on the base layer to settle. Lightning happens in 1/250th of a second, which to the human experience is instant. Let's take a look at Tron. Tron's an interesting one because it's kind of part of the stablecoin play. Now, the stablecoin of choice for the market is Tether. And with the latest announcement of Tether going to the Bitcoin Lightning Network, issuing assets on the Lightning Network, the use case for Tron is now reduced, but it is still one of the dominant blockchains for Tether transactions and Tether settlement. So it's great. I think it's a good trade. It hasn't broken out yet. When you're looking at it on the Bitcoin pair, what it needs to do is get out of this range. So once we get above this range, we can head out to the upside. But until then, it's just going to remain range bound. As long as it's in this blue box, it's going to stay in this blue box. That's the assumption that you need to run under. Honestly, we shouldn't hate any crypto. It's all technology in the future, and there's plenty of money to make in all areas. So I actually, well, not surprisingly, I totally disagree. What we have here is a solution to trust, and it is done in protocol form. And just like we all use one internet, just like we all use one email protocol, the protocol for value of money, there's only going to be one. So you're right. We shouldn't hate. And I don't hate any individual except for the leaders of these companies that are fooling people into thinking that their product is superior to Bitcoin for financial gain. I think that those people are evil. I think that at best, they are stupid and misguided. And at worst, they are counterproductive for society and, gearing up and laying down the framework for enslavement of humanity. So there's a broad spectrum there, but none of it's really good. Anyways, we'll just leave it. We'll leave it there. There will only be one protocol at the end because that's the way that protocols work. Companies, there's room for competition. Protocols, there isn't. Protocols, if you look at any protocol out there that lives on the internet, we all use the same one. And Bitcoin is a protocol. It's no different. So this healthy competition debate is nonsensical because we don't have healthy competition with email protocols. We don't have healthy competition with SMS protocols. We don't have healthy competition with internet protocols. We all use the same one, and Bitcoin's no different. The protocol is using, well, it depends who you ask, but the predominant protocol that the internet is using is TCP/IP. But there are actually sub protocols below that. When you communicate on Twitter, you're like 7 layers deep. Me streaming to you right now, we're like 7 layers deep. Anyways, somebody requested HBAR. Yeah, HBAR is another popular one. HBAR BTC. Yeah, we've still got all of our targets that need to be breached. Once we take out these, it's still a downtrend is what this represents, right? So break out of the bull flag would be first. Once you break out of the bull flag, you got to get above 447 sats per HBAR. Once you take that out, there will probably be a more defined uptrend. So let's say we get above that. Once we've taken that out and break out from that, that will probably be your best risk to reward, in my opinion, to become a participant, to sell some of your Bitcoin, to buy HBAR. I'm not going to be buying HBAR. I keep my portfolio quite small. You don't need to diversify in this market. When crypto moves, it all moves together. So you pick 1 or 2, maybe 3, because you don't want a million positions to manage. So for me, it's Solana and everything that I've minted with runes and ordinals. What do I think about HBAR tech? I don't know enough about it, but it uses, if it has high transaction throughput, it's probably not mined. If it is mined, there's going to be too big of a UTXO bloat, which means it's not a sustainable product. I'll tell you what, everything that you need to know about HBAR lies in running a node. So go and run an HBAR node. If it requires multiple terabytes of data to run a node, and if it requires a computer that is more powerful than a Raspberry Pi, then it's not sustainable in my opinion, because the technology, the UTXO and transaction bloat of the network is going to outpace the innovation of physical technology. So the physical hardware demands of that node are going to be unachievable for a self-sovereign individual to run. Whereas, with Bitcoin, the hardware requirements to run a Bitcoin node are growing, but they're still very achievable, and they're going to remain quite accessible for a very long time. Right now, the blockchain size is about 700 gigabytes, and it can do that with a very, very low powered Raspberry Pi. Whereas, if you were to run an Ethereum node, you basically need a gaming PC with several terabytes just to get us to download the blockchain. There are solutions to that, which is pruned blockchains, but I don't like the idea of pruning blockchains. If you're going to use a node, you should hold a full node. So go download an HBAR node. And if you can't figure it out, then that's, in my opinion, all you need to know. Please look at his past video about doing your own hardware wallet. It's interesting. Yeah, that's with the seed signer. I did do a video on seed signer. IPv4 is still widely used, and no one wants to touch IPv6. It requires a full-on server. It's not for everyone to run. Yeah, that's likely what I thought. Anytime you have high throughput, you need a ton of hardware requirements. And the problem with that is you are no longer giving access to poor or unfortunate people to truly be self-sovereign. For you to be self-sovereign on the Bitcoin network, you have to run a node. And to ask somebody who lives in a developing nation to run a hardcore, basically an internet server, well, they're not going to do that. They can't do that. But if they really wanted to be sovereign, they could probably get their hands on a Raspberry Pi. They could probably get their hands on a 1 terabyte hard drive, and they could become fully self-sovereign. So it's about accessibility for the people. People need the ability to fully utilize the network so that it cannot be corrupted by people who are more wealthy than them. The people need to have a voice. It's like a democracy. If you don't run a node, you don't get to vote. So imagine if we lived in a world where only rich people were allowed to vote. Poor people were not allowed to vote because they didn't spend enough money on a computer. It's not a world that you really want to embrace. You don't want to just rely on the wealthy to have your best interest at heart. So having hardware requirements that are accessible for a normal person who has a job, I think that that's a benefit to society. Pruned blockchains, yeah. What about XLM? So it's the same thing. It's just repackaged. Stellar Lumens is the same thing. They're all going to do great, by the way. This is sounding super, super bearish. I'm fundamentally bearish on the long-term holdings of these projects, and I don't recommend that anybody hold these projects long-term, meaning cycle to cycle. But we're entering altcoin season. Like, all of these are going to do exceedingly well. So if the question, like, what do I think of XLM, is like, do I think the price of XLM is going to go up? The answer to that question is yes, I do. If the question is, what do I think of the long-term success of the XLM project to be like a currency that the world uses, I'm going to just say no, absolutely not. Not a chance in hell is that ever going to happen. But sure as shit, it's going to moon. It's going to go up. We're entering altcoin season. I mean, it's at the bottom. This is what happens. These are oscillators, right? They rally during altcoin season, then they retrace all the way back down to zero. Then they rally, then they retrace all the way back down to zero. Usually in a downtrend, I will also add. So, You'll get a bull market. It won't make a new high. It'll trend right back down to the floor. Then it'll be in a multiple bear market, and then it goes like that, right? And each bull market becomes less powerful than the last for that asset. And this is due to a number of reasons. Most notable is the highest gains happen on new coins during the bull market. So if you're attached to projects that were around last cycle, statistically speaking, the coins that are exactly the same as the coins from that cycle, meaning it's the exact same idea on privacy, it's the exact same idea on gaming, it's the exact same idea on, insert the blank, insert whatever word, buzzword here. The new one is going to do better than the old one. And this is the lather, rinse, repeat cycle of shitcoins. But it'll do well. Don't worry. If you're asking me, will price go up? The answer is yes. They only let their governing council run nodes. Well, there you go. So that's centralized. I'm in alts, so I can hopefully sell near the top and buy a whole BTC next bear market. I'm almost close right now. Right on. Praying to be a whole coiner. If you make the right moves, you'll get there. 1 Bitcoin and 100 Tesla is the ultimate goal with alt profits. Do you have any AI stocks that are lower market cap that you're into? I don't touch stocks at all personally. Matt, my partner, who does the daily high, he will trade stocks. Tone Vase also obviously trades stocks. I don't. I'm a cypherpunk that doesn't plug into the matrix. Don't get me wrong. Like, you buy stocks. There's nothing wrong with stocks. I just choose not to buy them. Too much of a paper trail, too much of a tax obligation. And we'll just leave it at that. Yeah, big problem for shitcoins this cycle is there was like 10,000 shitcoins last cycle, and now there's 10 million this cycle. Yep, huge amounts of dilution. It's going to be hard to pick the winners. During the 2017 cycle, I mean, you had 100. You had like maybe 1,000. No, you didn't. You had a couple hundred. It was really easy to pick winners in that environment. The only one I've been holding since 2016 is XRP. Yep. What's your take on privacy coins like Monero, Pirate Chain, Darrow, etc.? So the thing is, privacy can be built on other layers. I was a huge Monero fan, massive Monero fan. So I want to preface this whole thing with that. I was a huge Monero fan. But privacy coins are like hot potatoes. You don't hold them long term. If you need to do a private transaction, you have some Bitcoin, you go to an atomic swap, you do an atomic swap with your Bitcoin into Monero, and you go and purchase your darknet goods, whatever that may be. Or just you purchase goods that you would prefer to be fully private. The thing is, now with Bitcoin, we have the Liquid network and we have the Lightning network. The Lightning network is using centralized custodians if you're not running your own Lightning node. So there's that. But if you are running your own Lightning node, all transactions on the Lightning network are inherently private because there's no context as to what was transferred. And now with, again, Tether coming onto the Bitcoin Lightning network and issuing USDT on the Lightning network, when you have a Lightning network transfer, let's say that transfer is shown somewhere and it says that there was 100,000 sats transferred. Well, now you don't know if that's 100,000 sats. You don't know if that's X amount of USDT. You don't know if that's X amount of Tesla shares. You don't know if that's X amount of T-bills or government bonds. As more and more assets get tokenized onto the Lightning network, you have less and less context as to what value transfer took place. So as more adoption goes towards secondary layers of Bitcoin, you have less context as to what that transaction was. You also have less context as to who that transfer came from. Because on the Lightning network, it'll take multiple nodes to get over to a person. And along the way, it can be adding sats, removing sats. It's long story short, it's basically impossible to determine the origin, context, or anything of a Lightning transaction. And if you are providing the liquidity for that Lightning channel, it is actually impossible to track. So Bitcoin has privacy. It has privacy on the base layer if you know how to use it. A certain amount of plausible deniability exists on the base layer, and there's legitimate privacy on secondary layers with Liquid Network and Lightning Network. We don't need Monero is what he's trying to say. Lightning already does what Monero does. I mean, not so. Right now, Monero is turnkey. It's turnkey. If you want privacy for a specific transaction, go use Monero because you're not going to fuck it up. It's guaranteed going to be private. However, as more and more adoption takes place and more people begin to use the Lightning Network will inherently become more and more private. So it's kind of a usage thing. So if there's high volumes on the Lightning Network and there's more nodes and there's more digitized assets and there's more users and there's less custodians and there's more easy options for you to create Lightning channels native within a wallet where you don't need to rely on centralized parties to do Lightning channel management. When all of these things come into play, you will effectively have the same level of privacy and fungibility as Monero. Could you do a separate video on this topic? I don't know how many views it'll get, to be honest with you. People don't really care about privacy. And case in point, look at how successful Solana is. If Solana and Pump.fun are a measure of where we are, then clearly people don't care about privacy. So privacy is cool, but providing too much information about privacy makes me a terrorist in the eyes of some governments. So I'm probably going to stay off the topic of privacy. All right, we've been yammering on for an hour here. What else did I want to take a look at? Anything noteworthy? Track got a 2% move. Track's been doing bad. It's got to get above that line of resistance here. So no action for Track just yet. Does seem to be approaching a floor. But yeah, let's take a look at Ordi too. So Ordi, yeah, broke below. Not great. Poor performance in the ordinal space. So ordinals are still on hold for now. That's the only thing that I wanted to take a look at and check the market health on. So ordinals still in the shitter. Nothing looking good on ordinals. So we wait. We wait for the market dynamics to change. We wait for the herd to come back to the king of all crypto and start speculating on shitcoins on Bitcoin. And with that, I think we're going to sign off. So really cool conversation, a lot more theoretical and fundamental than I typically do, but I do appreciate these questions. Yeah, if you guys haven't already set up a Blackbox account, go ahead and go to blackbox.pro. That is blkbox.pro. You can also just scan the QR code that's popping up on the screen right now. There's the website. And join the Discord as well. So if you haven't joined the Discord, it's 100% free. So I'll put a QR code on the screen right now for the Discord. Scan the QR code, get into the Discord. You will need to verify, okay? This is not only for us to make sure that the Discord is for clients only, but it is also to keep out scammers. So we put a paywall, not a paywall, we put a service wall up in the Discord. So when you scan that QR code, you're basically only going to get like one channel that you can do anything in. All you got to do is either start a BitGet account or a Blowfin account. You do not need to make a deposit. Just make an account and then go to the top right here to your little avatar and copy the UID. Okay, this is your UID. This is your key to the kingdom. This is how you get into the Discord. Copy that UID, send it to me with the activate my free membership button that you will see inside of the Discord, and you will have free and instant access to the Discord and it's lifetime membership. We're never going to charge you anything. There's the only catch is that if you take a trade that we provide, we only ask that you do so on our partner exchanges. But yeah, that's it. So thank you all for joining into the live stream, and we will see you all in the next one. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Trade safe. It's a jungle out there. Peace.